Hey everybody, you've got Danny and Jake here with the JCT podcast coming back. I think it's been about a month and a half since we've spoken, but we're just going to kind of dive into some topics and some issues maybe that come from the survey here. So I'm going to turn over to Danny to let him go ahead and start hitting some of the bullet points he wanted to hit this morning.
Thanks, Jake. Yeah, hey, how you doing, JCT drivers and family members? Coming to you here the week before Labor Day, which kind of signifies the end of the summer period. And just because summer is coming to an end, our freight and our activity certainly has not slowed down. In fact, it's really busy out there right now. So I hope you're seeing the miles and the routes that you expect. If not, please talk to your driver managers or myself or load planners to try to get that fixed. You know, the last time the biggest changes we've made is the new base rate of pay went up 5 cents a mile. That's been very well received. I've heard from tons of drivers that thank you for making a permanent step up in the base pay in the contract to now $1.05 a mile. So we're happy to say that that's been implemented and will stay. Also, the switch to practical miles has been really positively received. I think that's something that, honestly, maybe we should have looked at before. It's only the fair thing to do as drivers. You can't drive the short route. It's not the fastest route or the safest route, and so switching to pay you on the miles closer to what you actually drive to on practical miles is definitely a step in the right direction, and also something we're talking to our customers about. So that's two things that we think were big wins for you, the driver, and us as a company. One of the things we're hearing from you on the survey is trailer conditions and trailer repairs. And as we're in these summer months where ambient temperatures can be in excess of 100 degrees, we certainly see more issues there. So I'll let Jake kind of touch on what we're doing regarding a trailer containment plan.
Yeah, we went through and with our top 25 customers, and we identified really all of the customer locations, all the drop locations, really that we had any trailers stationed at the moment. And as you can imagine, there's some customers, even if they're a large customer that ships a lot, maybe they only have one or two locations, and then maybe some of your protein companies is here in this area of the country, in the Midwest, that have 20, 30 drop yards where we might have trailers. So there can be a lot of locations that maybe are few and far between, or maybe don't have great service providers in the area. So what we did is we went through and we identified all of those locations and the number of trailers at those locations, and we started the breakdown department's been on top of it, starting some new service locations at those facilities, at some of those customers. So all of this in effort just to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get the trailers prepped and ready. When you go in there and pick a trailer up and have to deal with an issue, it's not ideal for anybody. It's certainly something that we don't want you to do, and obviously something that you would prefer not to have to deal with. So anytime that we can get service providers out there to keep up maintenance on the trailers so that drivers don't have to be tied up in that, that's what we want. So we're attacking that, with JBS Tyson, with Leprino, even our San Bernardino yard, which isn't directly connected to any one customer, just all of our trailers. We're attacking those, and we're just to put that in a better position for you guys, and I think we're also going to make a little bit of changes to the pay structure as far as if you, the driver, have to deal with a trailer issue, what that money looks like for you for that time that you spent down. I'll let Danny talk about the specifics of that, but we're attacking it head on as we've been, and as Danny mentioned, in the summer it tends to get a little bit worse. So hopefully as it cools off, we'll have less of those issues. But just know that we're attacking that, and Breakdown is doing a good job identifying more and more locations that we can go out and attack. So we're going to continue to do that.
The best time to obviously work on a trailer is when it's down at a drop yard or a shipper location, not while you're hooked to it and under a load. And in fact, one of the things we're seeing at some trailer repair facilities is they will only work on loaded trailers right now. And that's a reflection of the shortage of labor and parts and components. So other facilities are struggling to stay staffed and to meet our needs, not just for us, but other carriers. We've got several trailers around the country at different locations that are waiting to be repaired, and the fact that they're empty drops them down the priority list, as only makes sense. If you can only have enough manpower to work on what comes in loaded and is in an emergency situation to be repaired, then we get that. What Jake mentioned about the pay, we're going to take that from $20 an hour to $40 an hour, with a maximum pay of $400 per day. So if you get tied up having to take a trailer to a shop and babysit that trailer to be repaired, you're going to be getting $40 an hour compensation. We know you'd rather be driving down the road, and that's not making you completely whole, but it is a step up in where we were from 20 to 40. Speaking about the San Bernardino yard, we've talked to the owner or the lessee there of that yard. There's some space coming available. I believe it's next month. We know that while the yard is a good proximity to other places, specifically to Walmart, Colton, WCC, and other shippers and receivers in the area, we're just cramped on space, honestly, and we need more space in there. There's a large electrical contractor that has multiple acres, and some of that is becoming available here in the next month. So we'll be taking over at least another acre or two of parking space there. So we appreciate your patience in dealing with that. We know it's frustrating when you go in there and try to get a trailer in or out, and between the amount of equipment and bobtail trucks, personal vehicles, trailers, it can be very congested and difficult to navigate. So we're making progress there.
Yeah.
Probably one of the, something that is on the minds of everybody right now, and it's not just JCT or trucking related, but it's COVID policy. And I think, we get bombarded with stuff in the news, the mainstream media about COVID cases increasing. And while that's certainly true, we also, have seen from day one of this situation that there's some ambiguity around the danger and the actual risk that's posed to everyone. And we've always believed from the beginning that people should manage their own personal situation and their risk accordingly based on what their personal beliefs and their health factors and their family and other things. So right now you're starting to see it's kind of on a collision course also. Really more strict policies and mandates relating to vaccines, to masks, to other policies related to prevention, which are debatable as whether or not that actually prevents COVID. The other thing, there's a lot of effective treatments out there that for COVID that don't get mentioned, but it's the country and the world we live in today that the authorities have chosen to really focus on vaccines and masks as the preventative measure. So what we can say is that while we can't control everything that happens outside of our company, we can tell you that we're not going to force or mandate you to get vaccinated, you or your family members. We're not going to force or mandate you to wear a mask when you don't want to. We're going to leave that up to you as your own personal responsibility. However, we and you are subjected to different policies around the country, be it a municipality or a private or publicly company or a customer of ours, a facility that you go to get your truck repaired. I mean, it goes on and on. The list is too large to even mention. And what I can say is that, myself included, sometimes this is counter to my primary beliefs of personal responsibility and freedom of choice. I also have to comply at times to these policies. I haven't gotten vaccinated, and it's something that I think is a personal choice, not being forced on, shouldn't be forced on anyone. There's times where I have to wear a mask. We don't require masks here at the terminal or at other JCT locations, but there may be customers and situations where you are required. If any of you have flown commercially recently, that's required to wear a mask. We have some customers that are requiring masks to go in their facilities. There might be temp checks and things like that. Like I said, each individual policy varies across different municipalities and companies. And, it's frustrating to think that, more than a year later, we're still dealing with some of these policies, and not only the existing policy, but the advancement of some of those policies. And I think, initially when this first started, when there was so much uncertainty about the lethality of this virus and how dangerous it was, everyone was pretty quick to do what was suggested to try to protect ourselves and our family members and other people. But I think it's definitely debatable now as to how effective some of these measures are, but they still get enacted in different settings. So what I can say to you drivers is, while we want to take a stand where we can, the way that you can take a stand is you're working for or contracted to a company that is not going to force you to do something against your will. And while we can't control what other entities do, what I can tell you is that we're going to rely on your own personal responsibility and decision making and freedom of choice. We always will. That's what we've done from day one. But we do ask you that if you encounter a situation at a customer location, a repair facility, or wherever it is out there on the road or different parts of the country. Like I said, it varies so much across this country right now that you just have to take it on a case by case basis and try to comply. Someone here compared it to you come to a locked door or a locked gate, and if you have a key, you can access what you need behind that door, behind that gate, and then get on about your business. And so that's kind of the approach we asked you to take, is that if you come to a location and they're required to wear a mask or get your temperature taken, please comply, get in and out of there, go on about your business. That way it doesn't affect your livelihood or ours or your ability to earn a living, and you can still protect your family and follow your own personal decision making. So I don't want to go spend an inordinate amount of time on that, because it is such a touchy and difficult issue, and it's still yet to be resolved. But I do want to say that you're taking a stand by working for a company that honors and observes and respects your personal freedoms. We can't control the rest of the world, the rest of the country, unfortunately. So please comply when asked to, and let's go on about our business and do that.
Well, and I know it's something that I personally really appreciate. I know people around here appreciate that. With a situation like this, I don't think there's one standard policy across the board that can solve all the problems or is the right move to make. I think it is about personal decision making, and I know that I appreciate the ability to do that here in this work environment, and I hope the drivers do too. I think they do. One other thing, probably the last thing I wanted to touch on, was with Q4 coming up, with the holidays coming up, we're going to look to adjust maybe some of the weekly survey we've been doing, and probably kind of go back to what we did in Q3 with some of the pay suggestions that we asked you guys to make and to fill out for us. So what we'll probably do on our end is put together a couple of ideas of maybe some holiday incentives or some different kind of pay incentives for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for New Year's, and then ask you for some feedback on those in a survey, maybe over a couple 3-4 week period, just to get some good data, and then maybe that'll help us kind of identify which direction we want to go, which direction you would like to see, as a driver for JCT in a holiday incentive.
Yeah, absolutely. The holidays are difficult, always have been in the trucking business, and the fact that we haul food and frequently replenish food items, that people actually consume more food during the holidays, so our freight doesn't slow down, unlike some other types of, whether it be flatbed or some drive-in freight that kind of shuts down for an extended period around Christmas and New Year's. We just, excuse the pun, but we just keep on trucking. And that's good and bad. It can be challenging because we know as drivers, some of you work every week out there for 50 or 51 weeks out of the year, and there's a time during the holiday where you want to go home and spend it with your family or loved ones or friends, and you have a right, you've earned the right to do that. So we never want to fail to respect your decision making and your right to spend the time with your holidays. However, we do have customers that give us committed freight 52 weeks out of the year, and if we can perform on that on a year-round basis, it helps us secure those lanes and those loads and to keep you moving when you need it. So it does create challenges to what happens when 40 or 50% of the driving force wants to take off during the holidays, but freight movements can still be just as strong or stronger than they are in a normal week. So I think if we can get ahead of this, and to Jake's point, we're going to be putting out some surveying and asking for suggestions as to do drivers want extra compensation to work during that holiday period? If someone can forego, let's say that you work during Thanksgiving, but you take off Christmas, or vice versa, or you work leading up to the actual holiday and just take a abbreviated time off, maybe it's 2 or 3 days to do what you need to at the house or with your family. And then the other option would be to the work that you do leading up to the holidays kind of banks the days off for you and gives you extra compensation for that. So there's a lot of different ways to craft it. We've done some things in the past. The holiday raffle program was neat and popular with drivers that worked over the holiday. They got tickets in the raffle, and we gave away a lot of cash and prizes. Actually gave away a new pickup one year, and we're open to coming up with some creative and fun and beneficial ways to, one, we want to honor your requests first off. Second, we want to if your request is, hey, give me additional money and I'll work during the holidays, then we want to do that as well. Or if we, like I said, you want to bank days and you've earned that time off, then that's another option. So look for that in the next few surveys coming out as we get through the out of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter. Before you know it, we'll be talking not only about the holidays but winter driving and things like that. To be honest, I'm not looking forward to winter. I still enjoy although when it's 120 degrees out across the desert and your truck or trailer breaks down, that can be extremely frustrating and challenging. But I'll take that over what we saw last year when it was 10 below for an extended period of time. And unfortunately, we know that the seasons do change, and that'll be coming. So, in closing, I just want to say how much I appreciate you and the sacrifices you make and the hard work that you do out there on the road. We have stood in the face of this challenge, this pandemic, and the capacity and labor shortages and so many different challenges over the last 16, 17 months. And we've really excelled, and it's a big part of because of you, the drivers, what you've done. I mean, your resiliency and commitment to your trade and to your craft has been remarkable. And in turn, we've tried to man our post here at the terminal and in Fort Worth and other locations. And so our non-driving personnel, our drivers, any stakeholders related to JCT, I just can't tell you how thankful and proud I am of the job we've done. And our work's not done. It never will be. I mean, this is something we do day in, day out, week after week, year after year. We're into our 35th year of business here, and I know we're going to see 36 and beyond. And I'm very thankful and excited for what's to come. And I believe that hopefully we do see some easier and more certain days ahead. But in the meantime, we're going to do what we have to do to get through this, and we're going to succeed and prosper, and we're going to be here to support you, the driver out on the road. So thank you for what you do.
Yeah, and I think likely some challenges ahead, but we know that our drivers like to step up to those challenges and hit them head on. They conquer them all the time. So we appreciate you guys for that. And yeah, so keep an eye out for some little changes to the survey about some holiday pay incentives and some feedback there. And we'll come back to you soon, maybe with another update here in the next month or so. And we'll keep trucking here. You keep trucking there. We appreciate
That's right.
it.
In the meantime, be safe and have a good day. Thank you.